G'day guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are talking about the standing cable tricep skull crusher using the rope. Okay, fantastic variant exercise to just chop and change between your normal laying down skull crusher. This one, we're going to change the angles, potentially change the stimulus, and as a result, potentially get a little bit more growth because your body won't be used to this particular skill set. Right, so what exactly do we do here? Well, first of all, geez, this rope's seen better days. We're going to start with the rope attached to a high cable rather than coming off the ground. From this position, what we're going to do is we're going to grab a hold of our rope, we're going to turn, and out we come like so. Now, obviously that weight was a little bit too light, but from this position, we're going to press out like so. So, how do we want to start this? As you can see, it's very rare that I actually end up in a staggered stance, but we are going to have to be in a staggered stance with our weight slightly shifting forward, obviously to counterbalance the weight that's going to go up and down like so, which is why I probably fell a little bit further forward than I was expecting at the very start. It's from that point on though that we need to be aware that we don't want to get our body involved with the lift, because if we're starting to heave-ho and create a leverage point, then we're going to take away from our triceps and the overall exercise, and we potentially could rip ourselves off. So it comes back to our acronym, and that is stability, tension, execution, performance, step. Okay, so let's talk about this step by step, as they say. Setting up, I'm actually going to put my foot up against the where the weight stack is, if you can. If not, then go obviously off the floor. Again, we're going to use what we can to create as much stability as possible, so why not use the big heavy frame? Okay, so from this position, 1 foot forward. Now, I'm going to be squeezing my glutes on, and I'm going to be pulling my shoulder blades back and down. From this position here, I'm keeping my elbows, and I'm looking to bring these elbows into the midline. So it should feel and look like this position here, rather than flaring them out. Now, what we know is that if we start to overload for a long period of time with flared elbows, okay, we can develop issues on the inside or outside of our elbows. So we want to keep these nice and straight. Also, when they're going nice and straight, we've got a nice straight line of pull, so the weight is going to be traveling all the way through these triceps, and we're going to get the most out of our triceps with the weight traveling nice and straight, versus if we're flared and exposing ourselves to injury. Okay, so again, what we want to do, foot up against the rack or the stack, pull our shoulder blades back and down, create as much stability as possible. I'm going to be rotating my elbows in, which is also going to activate my lats a little bit more. And from this position here, I'm going to be pressing out, coming back down into my head. Pressing out, down, back into my head. Now, it doesn't matter your angles in which that you do this, okay, that's fine. But what we want to make sure that we are doing is that we are staying completely still throughout the exercise. At the end of the day, we're just hinging like a door would back and forth. Okay, we are not looking to shift our weight into it. And when we start doing things like this, okay, that's when we can get ourselves into some strife. Now, it's paramount that we make sure that we pull our shoulder blades back and down. Why? Because our triceps go over two joints. They go over our elbow joint and up and over our scapula, or up and into our scapula. So, by pulling them back and down, what we are doing is we're creating a fixed locked point for this muscle to move back and forth upon. Okay, so now it is all about elbow flexion and going back and forth. If we start letting this go lax, okay, other muscles start to come into the game and they start to take over the load, such as your lats. So a lot of people, when they do skull crushers especially, because they come back down, they start to pull their lats and then come back up, right? By pulling your shoulder blades back and down, activate those lats, these arms can't go anywhere. So again, we'll set this up one more time. Foot on, coming out. Shoulder blades are going to go back and down. From this position, we're looking to bring my elbows in nice and tight to the midline. Here, pressing out. 1, 2, and just following the line of your arms and the line of the cable. Keep your hands in line with your elbows. So what we're looking to do is keeping our wrist, elbow and shoulder joint all in a line. So that may mean that you may need to separate the rope a little bit further instead of just traveling the one line, okay? So by all means do that. Otherwise, team, that there is how you go about the standing rope skull crusher.